Buenos dias, Gunners Collective TV. Back at it, you already know. Like a torta with some bad habits. Bye up, bye up. In Menudo style and direct fashion, we're going to get straight to the content. But before we do, let's get to the intro. Welcome back, and if you haven't already hit that like and subscribe button, make sure you go ahead and do that. Put your notification bell on all so that way you're directed in a direction of the dope content that the gun stays kicking. And I appreciate the support, man. I'm very humbled by it. Let me get a little bit closer to this mic so we can rock this motherfucker one time, right? So there is a hunger strike going on in the state of California within the prison system, the CDCR, and it's happening at one of the most notorious prisons in the state, Salinas Valley. Can't put nothing past Salinas Valley. You should know right now, by now, Salinas Valley is usually the first to kick up the dust. If it ain't Salinas Valley, it's definitely going to be New Folsom. But one of those prisons right there is definitely going to set the precedent, lay the demo down, be the first to initiate something that could take fire, that could actually be the first stepping stone in the cobblestone to the path of righteousness, right? More freedoms, more liberties. Injustice shall be challenged, right? Now, Salinas Valley has been on an active hunger strike. And when we say active hunger strike, this means anytime that a California inmate or prisoner or convict, whatever wording you like to use, refuses meals or canteen items for 9 days consecutive, then that is considered a hunger strike, right? They started on Friday. They started on Friday the 13th. So this right here is basically day 3 or 4, you know. So after 9 days, the CDCR will start becoming more alarmed and concerned. And that's when what happens is the criteria is they go 9 days consecutive. And this also means no canteen items. So don't try to get over and hide canteen items in your cell and expect to be a participant of the hunger strike. Now, according to the politics of the inmates, yes, you know, if you could prepare for lockdown, that's fine. But when you are contributing to a hunger strike, you shouldn't eat anything. There was a big discrepancy last time when they did the big hunger strikes during the end of hostilities, during all that, when they wanted to get guys freed up out of the shoe. There was a lot of people making accusations that a lot of the participants cheated, that a lot of the participants had food items in their cell. And that was disproven. Them claims were lies, because what happens usually when you're participating in a hunger strike, all the food items in your cell will be removed and placed in bags and set in front of your cell or put into a property area. So there's no way for you to have access at food. If you're going to participate, CDCR is going to make you participate. You know, they're not going to give an inch so you can take a mile. That's a fact. Now, most of these guys that are involved in this hunger strike, and again, I'm not going to sit here and say it's every group, every ethnicity. You know, I don't know if the brothers are participating. I don't know if the whites are participating. I don't know if the SAs or the NAs are participating or the others. But usually, more than likely, when it's an injustice for one, it's an injustice for all. And in this situation, what has happened is, and I did a video on it yesterday, there's 21 state prisons on lockdown. If you're on a level 3 or 4 facility, now this counts for general population as well as SNY. So it's not, they're not color coding nothing or these guys got it better than these guys. It's not like that. If you're in state prison in the state of California right now at a level 3 or 4 facility, you are on modified program, which is AKA lockdown, right? And because of this reason, you know, and the reasoning for CDCR has been a lot of assaultive behavior towards staff or, of course, correction officers, which is what they're really focused on. And then overdoses as well as violence inmate on inmate. Look, violence is going to happen. Prison is a violent place by nature. Prison, especially in the state of California, is built on violence. The foundation is violence. You have to be a violent individual or at least show that you're willing to participate or you're down for yours, or you're going to get ranked over. You're going to get dieseled. Okay, that's just the nature of the beast. It's the way prison has always been. You could go into prison, you can do your own time, you can try to stay up out the way, but 9 times out of 10, there's eventually going to be a test, and you better ace that motherfucker, right? Because if you get a B or a C minus, then you might be on the other side of the yard with a cut on your face, leaking, right? Wishing you would have never got that C. There is no second chances in prison. You get one chance and one chance only. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to blow. It's the truth, right? Eminem said it, and now I'm saying it. So, because of this modified program, these guys at Salinas Valley, which is considered one of the most violent and vicious prisons in the state right now, and like I said, lays demos down, has set the precedent. You know, you have individuals there that are looked at like, okay, these are the who's who of who the fuck do you think they are, right? The real ones. And they have decided to take up this hunger strike because of this injustice of this modified program. Now, when I was in prison, when I was in the youth authority, when I was locked up, period, I went through several lockdowns. And so I understand the situation with the lockdown, especially if you're a group, an ethnic group in there. And, you know, everything is separated by racial lines and gangs and all that in California, because that's the way it's been. And that's the way it's going to continue to be, unfortunately, right? But does it help other groups? It does. It creates less tension, less drama. The less interaction you have with an enemy or what you consider an enemy, the less interaction means the less confrontation and problems, right? But trip out. So in the youth authority, I remember the Northerners and the Southerners, North and South, Norteños, Southsiders, Sureños, whatever you want to speak on, right? We were going at it quite a lot. Sometimes on site, sometimes fucking riots that we actually talked about first. With each other, like, hey, we'll get off on Friday. You down? Yeah, we're down. That's how cold the youth authority was. That's how fucking cold that we'd actually set up riots. Hey, it's going down at the square area on Friday. You guys down? Yeah, fuck yeah, let's get it. Thursday, everyone's eating, doing their thing. Friday, it's on and cracking. The same motherfucker that you passed by on your way to the latrine area to take a piss is the same dude stabbing you in the school area. That's how vicious and violent that was. It was all business, no pleasure. Some people took pleasure in the part of the business, but it's the truth. It's facts. It's early 90s, 90, 91, 92, 93. California Youth Authority, one of the most vicious and violent things to participate in or to be in at that time. Turmoil on the streets, crazy governors, crazy administration, crazy jails, crazy wards is what we were called, inmates, wards, and crazy times. I survived it though. Many did, some didn't. Now, there was a particular modified program they used to put us down on, and it used to be called the freeze, where we're kept on our bunks. It was a form of torture, man. It was heinous, right? It was unconstitutional. They did it. As you said, as kids, we went through some shit, but no one cared. No one gave a fuck because we were little badass kids that were out there tearing up our community. We did not deserve much. And believe me, they didn't give us much, right? Anything we got, we had to take. So with that being said, I remember being on lockdown because of North and South situations, but I also remember the blacks being on lockdown, the Crips, the Bloods, the 415s at that time. I remember the others being on lockdown, the whites being on lockdown. We're talking about guys that were not even participating in the shenanigans as far as the North and South beef. They weren't in that guerra. They weren't in that war. But they were also going through the ramifications and the repercussions of our actions. So with that being said, it caused a lot of friction and tension amongst the blacks and the browns, the blacks and the whites and the browns, because at the same time, when you are being fucking thrown into a lockdown situation and you're not the group doing the fucking pleito, handling the business, especially in prison, right? People are going to be upset. Other groups are going to feel like, hey, it's your fault. And this is a perfect setup and opportunity for the administration, the police, the CDCR, all them guys to play the blame game. Well, if we just fucking lock them all up, if we slam them all down, then we already know the blacks are going to get upset with the essays. The essays are going to get upset with the blacks. The whites, they're going to get in where they fit in, and they're going to be upset because white is right, brother. Fuck that. I skinned that, right? They're going to be upset. And then the others are going to be like, ooh, what's up, Oos, right? Well, we got to be on lockdown. Oos, I'm hungry than a motherfucker, right? And then the Northerners are going to be over there working out all tired, right? There's no food to eat. They're going to be hungry. Look, I'm having fun, but at the same time, I'm speaking reality, realisms, some knowledge you can't get in college. The fact is, this is a tool that's been utilized for years, decades in the CDCR as well as the Youth Authority to create tension, cause turmoil, friction amongst the prisoners. If you keep the prisoners focused on each other, then they won't focus on the staff. If you keep the prisoners isolated and segregated and you're able to control their movements, then you don't have to worry about your own safety and security, right? But the fight back has begun. And it starts in Salinas Valley, right? And to be honest with you, I'm not shocked. This hunger strike, there's a lot of demands and a lot of things that they have to go through to make this a reality, to make it really happen. First of all, you have to come together collectively as a people. You know, now it could be the Southsiders doing the hunger strike. And yes, what they'll do is they'll isolate them to their cells. And usually what happens is they'll bring everybody else off of modified program. They'll continue to be on a lockdown situation. They'll continue the hunger strike. But that's not going to get it done. Because if one group is doing a hunger strike, whether it be the Norteños, the Southsiders, the Blacks, the Whites, if one group is doing a hunger strike, they're able to isolate that situation. If their voters want to starve, let them starve. You know, in order to get something done for social status of equality, meaning for everyone to have the same exact rights, then everybody has to participate. Now, not necessarily every single inmate has to, but there should be the majority of the groups. Now, if you're Mexican, if you're a Southsider or Norteño, right? I'll be honest with you guys straight up for reals. And your group is going, you got to go. You have no choice in the matter. You don't get an option. There's not going to be an option like, hey, homie, nah, I'm good, man. I like to eat and shit. Hey, I'm fat. You know what I'm saying? I ain't into that diet shit. No, because you are going to reap the same benefits. See, what's going to happen is, and I'll continue to get into the details of the hunger strike right now, but whatever benefits they get at the end of the rainbow, you are also going to reap. And nothing's free in prison. That bed space costs something. You're either going to have to do a pegada for that. You're going to have to do something for that. You ain't just kicking back, right? So there's no way anybody who's with the program, and we're talking about vicious characters. We're talking about dudes that'll kill you over fucking, we're talking about some guys that ain't playing. They're not going to let you fucking get to participate and be all happy and get your visitas back and whatever, you know, get your tablet turned on and all that, and you didn't participate. Motherfucker, I'm hungry too, right? So what's going to also happen is none of this can get done without uniting, coming together. You don't have to fucking kumbaya or kick back, but there has to be discussions that are had. There has to be an agreement amongst the convicts that, yes, hey, we'll participate, you'll participate, let's all participate. Because at the end of the day, it's powerful. Power in numbers and power in progress, right? Power for the people, power by the people, for the people, by the people, like I used to always say. Black and brown's a strong force. You sprinkle some white in there, what do you got? You got Tupac's, Biggie, and Eminem all mixed up in a pot, right? What you got is a lot of unity and a lot of power. And once the CDCR recognizes this power and recognizes canalismo and recognizes this unity, it's a hard act to follow. It's hard for them to overcome that. That's the truth, right? So some of the demands that I seen in this hunger strike was they want their tablets back. Now, according to what I've seen on this modified program, and that's the reason why this is happening, because all these inmates, these convicts were placed on a modified program they believe is unjust. They believe violence is created by the system. You know, if you put someone in a violent environment, they have to defend themselves. They have to handle their business. Now, one thing that I think kicked this shit off where they're like, it's hunger strike time, was that a lot of what they're used to, their incentives that they're used to receiving, were all taken in one shot. Not only that, it didn't become a situation until, you know, they're getting placed on lockdown because COs are getting hit. You know, it's crazy that prisoner on prisoner, you can hit a prisoner left and right. They've been getting killed fucking at an alarming rate this year. I think we've had more prison murders in the state of California than any other year in a long time. I mean, it's back to back to back to back. And many of them at Salinas Valley or New Folsom, right? Those are the prisons that are kicking off, as well as a lot of the S&Y facilities, right? We've had few riots. We've had a lot more has happened in this year alone than what usually happens. Now, I'll say this, right? once they CDCR decided to slam everyone because cops are getting hit at an alarming rate, then the convicts came together like, well, hold up, bro. We'll go on lockdown for guerra. Like, we're willing to go on lockdown for our bullshit. But all of a sudden, they want to place us on lockdown because they're getting whacked. They don't care when we're getting hurt. But when they start getting hurt, hold up, man. It's a lockdown situation, right? I understand, though. You know, the COs are there to do their jobs, the majority of them. And there is something going on, and there's something someone's drinking. There's some Kool-Aid out there that someone's sipping on, and these cops are getting hit. And for what reason? I don't know. And even if I did, it's not my reason to speak on it. You know, I'm not trying to get caught up in the group's situation that's doing it. But that's when CDCR decided to implement this modified program, this lockdown, whatever. So these guys said, we're going to go on a hunger strike. We want our tablets back. Now, these are the things that they done. CDCR took the tablet, didn't take the tablets. And these tablets are for communication with your family, your friends, education, all these different things. They turned them off. Made me scratch my head. When I heard they had the ability to just turn them all off, right? Do you not think that they have the ability to monitor them and tap them as well? I'm just saying, right? If they have the ability to turn them on and off, they also have the ability to listen to what you're saying. Just giving you some knowledge you can't get in college, some game, you know, put some pain where it ain't. Now, they also modified visits, meaning no visitation, no canteen, no packages, no bush visits or what you would call conjugal visits, right? There's a lot of the incentives and things that people work towards and look forward to, especially in the summer when it's hot and people are ornery and they're upset and they're angry, you know, because it gets hot in them prisons, some of those prisons, right? And man, you can't take it. As much as you can get out of your cell, you enjoy. This is a bad time to be on lockdown. So with them taking everything, these guys have decided to go on a hunger strike. Now, what does that mean? Okay, like I said, after 9 consecutive days on a hunger strike, and who's participating? Pretty much every group, from what I'm hearing, right? So after 9 days consecutive, then the medical staff, the administration, have to start interviewing these guys, have to start bringing them out one by one, have to check on their health status. They have to recognize and hear them out. This is a way for your voice to be heard. And of course, this is a situation where they don't want the bad media, the bad news. It's already made social media. It's already made mainstream news. So now it's reflecting bad on the prison. Like, hey, these guys have demands. What are their demands? Well, their demands, and I've read the list, is they want their tablets turned on. They want visits reinstated. They want all the incentives that they got. They're not asking for anything else other than their constitutional rights and their rights, their humane rights to be restored. I agree. I get with that program. I also understand that in order to be let off lockdown, in order to receive this, in order to go, stop killing motherfuckers, right? Slow it down, homie. Slow down. I don't want to get to, you got to slow it down a little bit. You know, you can't ask for all these demands and all that. And of course, I stand with you in solidarity. You know what I'm saying? I was going to go get some tacos. I'm not. But I'll tell you this, though. This is the truth. You can't expect, hey, we're just going to not eat for a few days and we want all our shit back and we want to be back on the yard and we want this and that. Because, yes, do you deserve it? I mean, you deserve what you get, right? By the content of your character and the way you act. You can't be killing people left and right, stabbing people all day and not expect no repercussions. You got to understand the CDCR can only bend but not break so far. So are these guys doing a good thing? Well, they're definitely standing in unity. That's always a plus. You know, will they be heard? Absolutely. You know, we've seen throughout the history and time and time and over again that hunger strikes are a tool that's utilized by convicts and it works. When you do things peaceful, now this is a protest. They're protesting against the absurd, how do you say it? The absurd way that they're being treated, right? It's absurd, right? And they're also protesting in unison, in unity against the unconstitutional ways that this lockdown has been escalating or has been utilized to hold them down. At the same time, you have to hold yourself accountable. You can't expect the CDCR to say, okay, man, we're just going to give you everything back, let you back out in the yard, and then you kill 10 motherfuckers when you get out there and stab 3 cops, right? It just doesn't work that way. You know, so But it's definitely something that's going on. There is a hunger strike. Will this create more prisons to follow suit? Usually in the prison system in California, let me give you some game. Things are isolated to yards or they're isolated to that prison. Whatever they got going on over there, exactly what's going on over here. Unless it's a super gang issue, then it could be statewide, right? Now, as far as will the other prisons stand in solidarity with the other convicts fighting for their well, the ones that are on lockdown, most definitely probably will. But that's yet to be seen. As of right now, just Salinas Valley, they're on day 4 of a hunger strike, or since Friday. We'll see how it continues. With that being said, thumbs up or thumbs down. Heavy's going to be the head that wears the crown. I'm going to continue to strive, struggle, and strive for what I truly believe in, and that's the betterment of all people. Let me know what you think. Do you think instead of going on a hunger strike, they should just stop killing people and everything will be all right? Or do you stand with your peoples, man? Do you stand with the gente? Do you stand with the brothers? Do you stand with the Woods, brother? Do you stand with the Usos? Do you stand with the Asians, the natives? All these cats, man, in their quest to seek, right? Their shit back. I stand with them, man. You know, being an ex-convict, I know the struggle. I understand the end game, but I know the struggle. The gun.